people are joining, I'm going to start out by saying welcome. My name is Jim Snyder. I'm the Director of Community Engagement here at Quality Matters. And welcome to our joint webinar, Quality Matters and Cidi Labs, Jumpstart for building QM-ready courses in Canvas. Talk a little bit about what is coming up. Next slide, Susan. Today's webinar, we have two presenters, Natalie Sharp and from Cidi Labs and Dr. Susan De La Sega from Pitt State University. And then myself and Kristen Powers from Cidi Labs. We will be the host answering questions. There are a few others who will be answering questions as panelists, but we're the sort of the named ones. Next slide. A little bit about, before we begin the webinar, I'm talking a little bit about Quality Matters. Quality Matters is a global organization leading quality assurance in online and innovative digital teaching and learning environments, provides a scalable quality assurance system for online and blended learning used within and across organizations. When you see QM certification marks on courses or programs, it means they've met QM course design standards or QM program review criteria in a rigorous review process. Quality Matters has over 1,500 institutions in over 30 countries, used by higher ed, K-12, and other organizations offering continuing and professional educational development. Next slide. I will put these in the these links in the chat as we go. But just a few pieces of information. We have some free resources that anyone can access. These webinars that we put on periodically. We have an accessibility and usability resource site. If you have questions around those, we have a bridge to quality online course design guides for both higher ed and K-12. Along with, we provide free access to our Quality Matters research library, where you can see where the research behind the standards and rubrics partially comes from. We have a lot of offerings in professional development. I would like to point out one, the addressing accessibility and usability, which is our standard 8. And our QM Connect conference is happening live on November 6th through 8th in Bloomington, Minnesota, which is right next to the Mall of America. So next slide. And then lastly, we're really excited about our upcoming book that we are releasing, our guide to digital accessibility. It's being edited by Ray Mancia and Barbara Frey, both active members in the Quality Matters community. They're both researchers and accessibility experts. This book contains exemplars of policies and practices and professional development from many different organizations and how they have rolled them out. You can use the QR code to access the link to order the book. And that's a little bit about Quality Matters. Now I'll turn it over to Kristen Powers.
Thank you so much. I am Kristen. I am the Director of Marketing and Customer Engagement at Cidi Labs. I'm sort of new to the team, so maybe some familiar faces, but maybe not. I've also been in EdTech for about 20 years. Some of you might have known me from CourseTune or work that I did with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation on online learning and instructional design, or even further back, I was working as an instructional designer for Voyager Sopris. So I'm really happy to be here today. I also want to give time to introduce some of my compatriots from Cidi Labs, so I'll pass it to Natalie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Sharp. I also work with Cidi Labs, and I am in customer support and product development. I've been a real fan of Cidi Labs products ever since I was working as an LTC learning technology consultant at CU Boulder as a grad student. Since then, I'm really excited that I get to work so directly with the tools these days, particularly on developing some new fun treats for you all.
Fantastic. And we do have some other Cidi Labs faces here. Kenneth is here, Jacoba, Michelle, Jen, and Jennifer. So we have a lot of our team in the background. Shoot them texts, say hi to them. We're happy to have a lot of our team here to support you and answer questions. If you don't know about Cidi Labs, it was actually started at Utah State when Kenneth was working to hack Canvas and create tools that actually worked well for their instructional design and innovation team. Cidi Labs was founded in 2016 to create clever, user-friendly products that really address common course design issues. Today, we serve over 500 institutions across higher ed, K-12, and corporate learning. Next slide. These products that we have help educations really realize the extraordinary returns on investment because they're saving people time, increasing accessibility, helping people rapidly scale best practices, and improving the overall quality of learning for students, which is, I know, why we're all here and how we align so well with quality learning, with Quality Matters. So our affordable, easy-to-use LMS plugins for Canvas help designers and educators unleash their superpowers to create amazing learning experiences. You can find us online at cidilabs.com. Also, we're on LinkedIn and Twitter, and we have a YouTube channel with all kinds of tutorials and how-tos. So you can find out all more about us there, and we'll drop some links in the chat as well. So I'm going to pass it to Susan, who's going to share some more about the learning objectives today.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Today's webinar is going to start off with myself, Susan De La Sega, and we're going to take a look at how we've used course templates in our quality assurance initiative through adopting QM standards. And then the really fun stuff is when Natalie, who we've got lots of shouts out for Natalie, she is awesome. She's going to show you kind of the behind the curtain scenes and show you DesignPLUS in action. So I'm going to start off kind of setting the stage for the story of how we have adopted DesignPLUS. But before we jump into that, we're going to ask for some feedback from all of you. Okay, we've had some great feedback telling us where you're at and how the weather is, but now we want to know a little bit more. If you could, in the first poll that Jim is going to launch for us, we want to know what's your experience levels with Canvas. So how many years has your school been using Canvas? So we're going to give everybody a chance to come in here and answer that poll question. There is a last question that says we do not use Canvas, and we're trying to use this poll also to make sure that you realize that we'd love to have you stay on the webinar, but just know that the DesignPLUS tools are specific to Canvas. So we're going to give people just a few more seconds. We got lots of answers coming through. Thank you for sharing. We got lots of people at the 6+ years. That's kind of where we are as well. Let's go about 3 more seconds if everybody could quickly answer this one, because then we're going to throw another poll out at you. And let's go ahead and end that poll, if you would, Jim, and we'll share those results so everybody kind of see where you fit in with others on the call. So the majority of people are 6+ years with Canvas. Awesome. And we do have a few of you that said you don't currently use Canvas. I think there's still value in this workshop as we'll talk about QM and building templates to support the QM standards. So in our second poll question, really interested in seeing those of you, how many of you have actually already adopted DesignPLUS? So if we could go ahead and there it is, our second poll should be launched for you. If you're currently using DesignPLUS, please let us know. Oh, wow, we got lots of users on here. Awesome. And a lot of you are new. I think everybody would be interested to see the results of this poll as well. This will kind of help Natalie and I as we kind of form the rest of the webinar and help our Cidi Labs staff as far as knowing who might be asking questions. Okay, let's a couple more seconds. Never know if I leave enough time for people to answer these polls, because you could be in the middle of doing something very important, because we all multitask very well these days.
You're about at the same level as the last poll.
Pretty good. Let's go ahead and close that and share it, please, Jim. So awesome. So we have quite a large number. 44% are not really sure what DesignPLUS does. So be ready, guys, from Cidi Labs. You might get a lot of specific questions on that as well. And we do have quite a few people have already adopted. So if you guys out there who are already using DesignPLUS have a great idea that you could share back with me as far as building templates, greatly appreciated. So let's go ahead and move on through the webinar and get started. Go ahead and we'll stop sharing those. All right, so real quick, I'll do a quick background story so you understand how Pittsburg State got to where we are. We are a small regional university in southeast corner of Kansas. I put a couple of unique items on this slide. That's Pittsburgh No-H, and we have a gorilla as our mascot. We are the only school in the country that has a gorilla as a mascot, and his name is Gus. We're pretty proud of Gus, so I threw him on this slide so you kind of remember a little bit about who we are. See some love coming through that. It's kind of cool. We're pretty proud of Gus. He's pretty awesome. Again, we're a small university, about 5,000-ish FTE, about 400 faculty. We actually adopted Canvas and, well, we signed our contract clear back in 2011. We are one of the first 100 schools that went to Canvas. So we have a long history of having used Canvas. So our faculty totally excited when we migrated to Canvas back at that time. Soon after that, we decided to launch our quality assurance initiative, and we adopted QM back in 2013 and started a yearly academy that we call our e-learning academy, where faculty go through, they take QM training, and then they end up developing a course and putting it through an internal course review. So we have a very long history with both Canvas and QM. This is a slide I bet a lot of you can relate to. We are a very, very small shop. It's myself. We have one person who is an awesome faculty development specialist, and she and I both wear about 5 or 6 different hats. I bet we get lots of thumbs up and people agree with us on that. We are our Canvas admins. We provide training and support for all modalities, not just online. We also have 2 electronic technicians because we're one of those departments. Lots of thumbs up on that. We wear lots of hats, don't we? Us people who are instructional designers by nature, we are asked to do a lot of, and we're glad to help our faculty at Pittsburg State. But we transitioned from a department that was more of instructional media. So we still have 2 electronic technicians in our department that do all of the multimedia across campus. And we have one super amazing administrative specialist. I give her a shout out. I don't think she joined the webinar. So anybody from Pitt State that's on the webinar, Donna Jacobs, tell her I gave her a shout out on the webinar. Not just from the pandemic, but just in general, I bet the rest of you are seeing that there is a huge increase for the need for our types of services. So one of the things that we looked at to help us was Cidi Labs. So here comes Cidi Labs in to help us and has helped us a great deal. We piloted with just a small group in our College of Education back in 2018. And that same year, we went to the QM Connect conference in Jacoba, and some other, 1 or 2 other people came with us, and we did a presentation back then. So sorry guys, I guess I'm taking credit for bringing you guys into the QM atmosphere here. So we've got Cidi Labs at the QM Connect conference in 2018. We had it for a semester, and people started seeing what our College of Ed faculty were doing with it, and they're like, we want what they have. So we went ahead and adopted it campus-wide, just real super quick. And the reason why it helps us a lot is because, again, we are a small shop, and we have developed a template that we feel we have adequately addressed 22 of the 42 specific review standards. So here are the standards that we have tried to build in from the QM rubric into our design template that we built with DesignPLUS. So I'm going to show you some screenshots and talk about how we developed our template. And then once I get through this, then Natalie's going to show you how DesignPLUS works. So the areas in Canvas that we've addressed, we've developed a home page on our template, an orientation module. That's where I bet everybody else kind of loads as much into your templates as possible, especially to meet General Standard 1 and 7. We have a module overview page. Yep, thumbs up on that for sure. Syllabus page in Canvas, which DesignPLUS does some awesome things with that. And then a student technology resources module that we've built. Okay, so here is the home page that we've built. This is the template, and really basic. One thing that's really cool in DesignPLUS is those are our school colors. So we've put in the crimson and gold in the theme so that the CSS is reflecting our brand standards that our university marketing office is probably really glad that we're doing. So right there is what the faculty see when they come to our template. What's really awesome in the second version of our template that we've built is the instructions that we give to our faculty. they don't see until they hit the edit button. So we don't have all of that leftover directions on how to edit a page left on the page accidentally when a teacher might publish the course. And we've all seen templates we've built over the years where unfortunately some text did not get removed before it was published to students. Look at this, isn't this awesome? The teacher does not see that until they click edit. So they come in here, we take the opportunity to give them some instructions. And I got a little number 2 next to, we also use it as a chance to educate our faculty and we tell what standard in the QM rubric this helps meet. And then we give them a set of steps to complete. And clear over in the right-hand corner of the screen, you see the number 4 next to the key action items. That's the tool in DesignPLUS that we've implemented this time around with our templates so that we can put this behind the scenes information for our faculty. Taking a closer look at what the teacher actually sees, they get the key action items. It tells them what they need to do on that page. They come over in that middle screenshot, they type in the course ID. They can type in the number of their course and so forth. And they can even pick a banner very easily from some of the Pitt State banners that we have created for them to choose from, or we can work with them to supply a specific banner for their course. So again, they don't need to know any HTML. They don't need to know anything fancy. They can come in here and use these specific DesignPLUS tools and create a really awesome polished looking course. So again, here's what it looks as a template. And I've got this wonderful teacher in our HRD program. Here's what she developed from that. So really quickly, she added her image, the name of her particular course. And then there's another tool at the bottom that our teachers really love using is this module list at the bottom. I know we got a lot of questions coming in, and I will try not to spend too much time on my part because I know what Natalie's going to show you is going to be super awesome. Here's our orientation module. I don't know about the rest of you, but trying to make that module not be like 20 items long is really tough, but we think we've done a pretty good job narrowing it down to a certain number of items, and we are addressing 18 standards from the QM rubric here. I am going to show you the welcome and instructor contact information page. That's the one that I have starred on that particular slide. So what this page looks like when the teacher comes to it is they have different blocks of content that they're going to go in and edit, and Natalie will show you that as well. So some of them, the welcome message, the contact your instructor, expectations, those are different blocks of content so that when I come in to edit that as a teacher, I'm given directions on specifically how to edit each of those blocks of content. So we, again, take the opportunity to say, you're going to edit the welcome message block to address QM standards 1.8 and 5.4 and so forth. You kind of get the idea. It's the behind the scenes directions that we're able to share with our faculty at this point. So you see at the top, there's editor only instructions, and then at the bottom, the editor prompts. We even give them very specific information to add in those particular areas. The contact your instructor, this is another thing that our faculty really love. They can make it look really awesome, like they are a website designer. They can come in here and have their picture and information displayed nicely. DesignPLUS will actually pull in the picture from your profile. And this again is our wonderful faculty member, Cidi Labs, in our HRD program. She's currently going through our yearly e-learning academy and is developing this course. But you can come in here and fill out in DesignPLUS, and what it ends up looking like for her is this really nice, clean, contact your instructor, like a business card, almost like image that she can share with her students. So again, that page, here's what it looks like in the template. And then here's what Chrissy's final page looked like after she designed it. I did tell her ahead of time I was using her information that I would blur out her phone number and email address, but I'm sure she would reply to your email if you emailed her. All right, real quick, the next item is the module overview page. So we have, like a lot of you, in each of our modules, we'll have the first item is a module overview page. Here's where they place their module learning objectives and so forth. Very simple, kind of nice and easy to use. Again, they click edit. Another opportunity to teach our faculty about QM standards. Here we have this is going to help us meet 2.4 and 4.2 by filling out the information as directed. Yeah, white type on a reddish background doesn't work for some of us are colorblind, so I see that comment in there. We try to definitely use other ways to emphasize this. This is mainly, some of it is for this particular webinar. I apologize if that is a difficult item for you to view. Real quick, I want to talk about the syllabus page and get through the rest of this so that Natalie can jump in. What's really awesome about the syllabus page is that we have developed policies at a level, administrative level, that we are sharing out to all of our faculty who use this template. So when they do click edit on the syllabus page, every time they click edit, those policies are updated. They're updated in a customizations course that our Center for Teaching and Learning keeps up to date every semester. So the faculty don't have to worry about making sure that they've changed all the contact information on their syllabus or anything. We update it every semester and it's pulled into this particular item section of the syllabus page in Canvas. So again, they're given instructions on how to add their syllabus here, further instructions on what we would recommend that they include in their syllabus, and then they cannot edit the policy content. It's locked down there at the bottom. And the last thing I'll talk about is I mentioned that we built a module with resources. Our department also supports all of the tools integrated inside of Canvas. So from Respondus, Turnitin, and so forth. We want to make sure that our faculty have at least some resources in their courses for students to use the particular products that they use in their class. So we will give them this module and tell them only publish the items that you're using in that specific course. And these are pages that we have created that are institutional template pages that anybody can add at any time. We do have a student support desk here at our campus in our IT department, but we want kind of at least that initial information to be right there in the course so that students can get to it right away. And that way it helps our faculty as well. So again, our standard, what we've tried to do is address 22 of the standards through our homepage, an orientation module, the module overview page, syllabus page, and then that last piece was the technology resources module that I just shared. I know there's been a lot of questions and I apologize if I should have stopped sooner or not, but I will try to, while Natalie's doing her piece of the webinar, I'll try and go back and see if there's anything specific that I can ask or answer concerning Pittsburgh State. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share, Natalie.
All right.
And
Sounds like my cue to start mine.
thank you very much.
Okay, so let's talk just a bit about how we can convert some existing content using DesignPLUS. What I'm hearing from a lot of you and what I'm seeing based on the fact that so many institutions have been on Canvas for at least some measure of time is that you have content already, right? It may not be that you're developing things from scratch and you need to figure out how to style it as you're building. It's likely that you want to convert over some stuff that already exists. So I am going to go ahead and navigate into the editor for this page. Also, fun fact for those of you who already use DesignPLUS, if you've noticed that Canvas's full screen button now hides the sidebar, we added a full screen button so you can see all the content and still see the sidebar. Okay, so to start out on this page with some existing content, I'm going to go ahead and select a front page theme, and right away you're going to see some changes happen on the page. I'll go ahead and do flat sections here. So we have this navigation block that's now been added. I'll come back to this in just a moment, as well as a banner image. We have the page title, and then you have the option to put in a course number here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. English is the degree so nice I did it twice. So I'm doing English 101 here. And then we're going to just take chunks of the content here and we're going to convert it into what's called content blocks. For those who are new to DesignPLUS, content blocks are the primary structuring element of DesignPLUS. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to open up this Add Content Blocks menu, and we're just going to start converting pieces of this into blocks. You'll see that there's already some styling being applied, including to the headings here, and there's a slight background color variation going on. And I'll just go down the page like so until I get down to the bottom, convert this last section. I notice that I've got a straggler element down here, just a random orphan unordered list item hanging out on its own. So I'm going to use the remove empty button to get rid of that, as well as any other random empty paragraphs or other empty elements that are hanging out in my content. Now, when I scroll back up, already we've got quite a lot of styling going on here, right? But perhaps you're in a situation where you've already included things like this. I've seen this many, many times where we've got some instructions that we put in our pre-DesignPLUS days. Maybe they're in a bright color so that they're hard to miss. The problem with that, of course, as Susan mentioned, is that you can run into the issue where that placeholder text gets locked into the template for years and years. And then 5 years down the road, you realize that everyone's been seeing exactly how the sausage gets made, making the sausage a lot less tasty. So in order to go ahead and convert this into something that's only visible in the editor, I'm going to place my cursor in that element. Thank you for laughing at my terrible jokes. I haven't gotten such good validation since my grandmother used to laugh at them all the time. And now that I am in actually I'm going to come to the Add Advanced Elements panel and expand key action items. So this is a tool that you were seeing pretty heavily used in Susan's really awesome templates. And in this case, I have an existing instruction element, right? I can hover to see which element I'm about to change. And I'm actually just going to flag that as an instruction block. Now, I hate that this text is red on a white background. I'm going to go ahead and make it black. But I'm also doing this to illustrate to you that you can use the DesignPLUS tools in conjunction with the Canvas formatting tools, right? They don't interfere with each other, except in like a very rare case where you're doing weird stuff. Stop it. Don't do weird stuff. The other really awesome feature when we're working with key action items is that you can put almost any kind of content you can think of inside of these instruction blocks, right? So let's say I want to also include something like a video. We're new to Canvas, right? I don't expect all of my faculty to know exactly how Canvas works yet, and I want to give them some guidance on things that they can do. And then in that case, I can actually come in, I can embed some content. I grabbed an iframe embed code before this, and I'm just going to insert that at the cursor position. So now I've provided a tutorial video. Again, once I save this page, we're not going to see this video. Only folks who are editing this content are going to see it. Additionally, let's say when I'm working with my key action items, I don't want people to come in and like destroy it. I don't want them to come in and take out the key action items that are there. And the desire, I found a lot of success building out small little chunks of content to share. If your institution has attended a training and you received the recording, feel free to like chop that up and share it. That is why we share those recordings out. And then on top of that, if you've got time and you want to do like drop-in workshops and things like that, you can empower a few folks, train the trainers basically to know the ins and outs of the tools. And then if folks are coming in with specific use cases, then you've got a group that can disseminate the knowledge where it's applicable instead of doing the sort of drink from a fire hose approach, which isn't always ideal for your institution. I hope that helps.
Hey, Natalie, one of the things that I saw come up in the chat a couple of times was about accessibility and the alerts that were popping up in that sidebar. Can we spend a little time addressing that?
Oh yeah, we absolutely can. And just to be clear, taking a look at the accessibility checker in DesignPLUS, yeah? Okay, cool.
Well, I think there were also a lot that were geared towards the key action items specifically, which is a dialog box that pops up the side with all of your instructions so they can read through it. Some of the key action items do involve a fill in the blank. So it would give, you know, the information around it with a blank they can type into an input field to update. The others are just a, you know, more of a, these are the list of things that you would be expected to do in the page, which they would then be able to read through, hear that, then go to the page, the editor itself to make those changes. So it's not making the changes for them. So in essence, it's just a dialog box that includes all of the instructions that you've provided. And in large part, those instructions are the way that you've provided them as far as what heading level, structure, etc. It's pulling that content that you add into the editor there. And so the biggest accessibility thing that you'd want to pay attention to with those is how you're building the content in the editor, not the actual pop-up itself.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. He says all the things like better than I can say them. So I'm grateful to have other team members support here. I will go ahead and note some additional, there's some like good questions in here that let me do sneaky fun things. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen if that's all right with everyone. To reference the checking accessibility, it is likely that as I was going, you noticed that there was this eye icon, let's say that 5 times fast, in the sidebar, indicating that there's an accessibility issue in one of these categories. And when I open it, I see that that issue is actually in the image check tool. Now, if I'm seeing that there are some issues, those images are flagged, and that is because this is bad alt text. I know that you are all going to go out and get that QM book on digital accessibility when it comes out, but until then, I will go ahead and tell you your alt text should actually be not a file name, for one. And you don't necessarily need things like picture of. Just FYI. We're going to make a similar change for Ian, whose name I hope I'm spelling correctly. Hey, 10 points for me. All right. So once we've gotten those items fixed, whether that is that we've fixed our alt text and made it better, or that we have marked something as decorative, we can go ahead and close out, knowing that we have satisfied our accessibility requirements. Now, if you come back in and you're seeing, oh no, this got weird again, sometimes it's just a save and a page refresh does the trick. But in general, those errors are going to be cleared right away. I also saw someone had a question about locking down accordions. So here's a terrible secret that I'll tell you. If I come into the advanced HTML editor and I find the top level of this particular accordions wrapper, and I come in and I give it the class, is it KL locked, Kenneth?
Correct, KL_locked.
Perfect. And then I save those changes. Now no one can do anything to that accordion. So we do have a class that will make the content uneditable when it is applied to any element. I've seen folks who wanted to just lock down headings so that those can't be changed, but any of the content underneath it can be. If I were going to lock something else, I wouldn't actually lock the entire accordion block. I would probably just lock the titles, those headings themselves. But the options abound there.
Just know that it's still Canvas's editor, and they can still get in the HTML if they want to wreak havoc on things, or they can still click it and delete it. It just prevents them from using the WYSIWYG to actually be able to change that.
Good point. I know one day we'll have full control. No, I'm joking. You don't want that kind of control, I'm sure.
I also saw there was a comment about there are some additional things being flagged by the Canvas accessibility editor That's actually because I discovered yesterday that someone changed our link color in our Canvas theme in our Cidi Labs instance of Canvas. And when it's on the light gray background of this particular theme, it doesn't have quite enough contrast. So I told Canvas to change it, but our Cidi Labs instance has several hundred, if not 1,000 sub accounts with theme editors, and it's been taking a long time to crank through and make that update. So that's where most of those are that were not addressed in the sidebar.
All right. I am scrolling down to see other things. I see a training question from Andrea Hilton. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If you go to, there is a link closer to the top, but I will pull it out again unless someone beats me to it. You can see our training calendar. Most of our trainings are offered on a weekly-ish basis. If you know Jacoba, you've heard this before. And if you are an admin or a person who wants to know some more advanced information, we've also got recordings of advanced training so that you can learn some of the deep secrets stored within Canvas. Ah, see, my hero posting that KB about training. To Carl, had a question about accordion navigation accessibility. I will say yes, but hi, Kenneth. I'm gonna throw it to you to say why it's accessible, because I think you say it better than I do.
Sorry, you're going to have to repeat that because I was typing an answer to a different question in the QA. Accessibility
is the
of
accordion
accordions?
navigation considered accessible?
Yeah, so accordions are built in such a way that, in normal content, so like if you make it available offline, it's a heading followed by content. When it's actually viewed by a user, JavaScript is used to transform that to meet the WCAG WAI ARIA standards. So it has the appropriate keyboard shortcuts. It has the appropriate ARIA labels that can be read by a screen reader user to indicate that it is an accordion, what's open, what's connected to it, etc. So we do build it based on the WAI ARIA accessibility standards for what an accordion should look like. And that's generally true with everything we build. Everything we build with accessibility in mind. When I was initially creating these tools, our accessibility guru at Utah State University, Christopher Phillips, for any of you who might know him from the Canvas community, sat 2 desks over from me. So I was always picking his brain when we were building things. I will also note, though, as he always loves to tell people, accessibility is a journey, it's not a destination. So if anyone ever comes across a way that is better to do something, or that does something better in an accessibility way, we love that feedback. And that makes it right to the top of our development, because we want the content that we help you create to be as accessible as possible for your students.
I hope you'll forgive our awkward silence. It's so hard to read and talk simultaneously.
Don't think there's been anything else specific to Pittsburgh State, but if there is after the webinar, I can follow up with individual people regarding that as well.
I'll just make a blanket announcement that we're definitely going to be sharing the video after. Both QM and Cidi Labs have different channels. We'll be sending them out. So we'll be sending it out in our newsletter and putting it on our YouTube. And we will also be making the slides available.
Try and make it not that we're bombarding you twice with all the information. So we'll try and work that out. But you might get it twice, which is just a bonus.
Another question that I did see asked a couple of times that I answered in the QA, but I also just saw it again in chat, is will faculty have access to the key action items pop up even if they don't have access to the sidebar? The answer is that's going to be, it kind of depends. So one of the most common ways institutions adopt the tools is you can actually hide that sidebar between a keyboard shortcut, behind a keyboard shortcut, so only those who know it can get to that actual sidebar. That makes it so that anyone who edits content still sees all the nice content in the editor. That would also mean that they'd be able to use the key action items, even if they don't know about the other sidebar. You can also, however, limit completely access to the tools by, based on like their rolling canvas or specific user IDs. If it's not hidden behind the shortcut and they have no access to it whatsoever, because that means we don't bring anything in, they're not going to be able to use the key action items. They're not going to be able to see the styling in the editor, et cetera. So if you're hiding the button, that does mean that they'd still be able to use it, still be able to see the content. And that's actually what we would recommend, even if people are just going in and filling in content, is that you hide the button so that they can still see all of the nice styling and everything in the editor.
And that's what we do at Pittsburgh State, and that's worked very well. Plus, when we share the template with our faculty, we also bring them in. That's a good hook to bring them in for basic training. So we like to tie that training with the template.
Yeah, and that's at Utah State, we would do a couple trainings a semester. One would be like a basic intro. This is how you choose a theme. This is how you add content blocks. This is how you review your accessibility. That's kind of the basics that you need. And then we do another one where, people could come in and we could teach them things like accordions or, some of the other fun things that you can do. I also will throw a plug out there that we are just finishing beta testing for the next new refined updated version of the sidebar. That does take into account a lot of the things that we've heard and back from our customers over the last few years. I did see a question earlier about more themes. This allows us to theme specific pieces rather than having to develop entire themes around everything that you might add. So lots of fun coming with that later this year.
I was hoping you would talk about that, Kenneth. I was going to ask you, but I didn't know if I wanted to prompt you in the middle of a webinar of 500 plus people. So thank you for telling us.
And other fun things with that one is we have built-in training. So like you can go into the tool and we have a training section where you can search for something and get a training that'll walk you through how to do something inside the tools. Institutions will also be able to create their own training pieces that they can fit into that. Lots of, yeah. We have several webinars and stuff if you want to hear me go off on, and our team go on for an extended period of time about all the fun things that are coming with that.
There's one more plug for to rolling this out to faculty. It's so much fun for me to see them get so excited. It empowers them to do such great work that they're proud of to share with their students. That's also tied to a quality assurance initiative at our university. So it's been a wonderful experience empowering our faculty with DesignPLUS. Crickets again, Natalie.
I know, right?
I'm waiting to see if you guys have any other questions to answer any of the questions that have popped up.
Thing to address out loud. I just had one and then I promptly lost it because I scrolled down like a fool. Oh, let's see. I'm gonna note one thing. I think that we plan to answer questions that didn't get answered that we can answer in a way that will be emailed to you after this. So if you are like, wow, Natalie and everyone else, Jim and Susan, they hate me and they don't want to answer my question, I promise that's not what it is.
Not the case.
It's just a matter of information overload, but we will ensure that you get the information that you're looking for because we know you have a reason to ask. Mark, good eye. The KL is Kenneth Larson.
Hey, that was so I knew what I've put into Canvas and what other people put into Canvas when I was first building it. So it just kind of carried over unintentionally.
Good.
Well, Susan and Natalie, thank you very much. Kristen and everyone else at Cidi Labs, thank you for jointly hosting this webinar. Thank you to all the audience and participants who asked questions and came here. So we appreciate everything that you guys do. Thank you very much. Any last words, anyone else?
Just really thrilled that you all were here today. Also seeing so much international representation is always dope. So I'm delighted that I got to share with you all. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Thank you everybody for coming today.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.